Today I want to talk about an insect that can be a pest, and it's more common on the west coast of North America. And of course this is called the grape cane borer. There is another different type of beetle called the apple twig borer, which can also be called the grape cane borer as well. That is a completely different insect. So the grape cane borer, or Molaugus confertus, is dark reddish brown in color. It usually produces one generation annually. So that's basically where early in the spring the adult beetles will emerge. They will lay their eggs on the vines or the canes, and these areas are typically where there is already damage that has occurred to the plant or to the tree, such as any scars, any breaks, any pruning cuts from previous maintenance, or any other wounds, ones potentially caused by other animals or insects. And so that is typically where the beetles will lay their eggs, or even in different folds of the bark in those layers as well. And then eventually those eggs will hatch in the beginning of summer, and the larvae will burrow their way down into the wood of the plant, and that's where they will cause a bunch of this damage. And so some of the symptoms, if we have this problem, is various canes or branches will break off very easily. Also, if we're looking out across a field and if we see areas of like wilted foliage, that could also be a potential cause there. And then also, upon closer examination, we can look for any bore holes at the bases of the canes or the stems or branches, and usually there will be a little pile of frass at the entrance of those holes. Crops that are normally affected are generally more orchard crops, right? So plants in the Prunus genus, so that could be plums and things of that nature. But then also other plants and trees as well, like olives, which are more of a warm season arid crop. And then grapes, of course, indicative of the name, and sometimes even avocados as well. So this insect is a pretty generalist predator, right? These crops are not all closely related to each other. So this insect isn't specifically going after one species or one genus or anything like that. It has a much broader range of what plants it will attack. So there are different natural control methods that we can work to employ, right? First of all is cultural, so that's like what we can do physically, and that's basically entails removing any affected brush, and at that point either burning it or mulching it and then composting, right? Because we want to make sure that that compost reaches temperatures like up to like 131 to make sure that kills the developing larvae and maybe any other pests that may be hanging around, right? So they're no longer a threat to that landscape. A preventative measure we can take too is using the traditional practice of whitewashing certain crops, like orchard crops. That can help to protect the trunks of, especially like in some of these Prunus genus species, from excessive sun damage before the leaves appear on the trees, which this sun damage may create easy spaces for the adults of these beetles to lay their eggs, right? So we want to try to prevent that. And then the other option we have is parasitic nematodes, right? Like Stauronema carpocapsae, which can actually kill effectively the grape cane borer. It's also good to keep a working knowledge and continue to observe on the landscape if there are any other generalist predators that will go after this beetle, such as if there are any birds, like certain species of songbirds, or certain types of arachnids like spiders, or different predatory insects, to see if we can have healthy populations of those, if those will also help to take care of the grape cane borer or not. So thank you so much for checking out this video on the grape cane borer. Even though this plant is more common on the west coast, so it's kind of has a limited range as opposed to other pests, but nonetheless it can be an important one to be aware of, because you never know when there might be a serious outbreak at one point, and it's always good to kind of be one step ahead of the game and know what it is and have ideas of how to potentially treat it or prevent it. So thank you so much for checking out this video, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care.